Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, and I'm back with another vlog update video for you to let you know what's been going on, what projects I've been working on, and what is coming up next for Crafty Gemini. It's been a while since I brought you a vlog update video, but I think we should start off with the latest happenings. So last weekend, I celebrated my 36th birthday on June 1st, and that was also the day of our grand opening event that we had here for my shop. So we're called the Crafty Gemini Fabric Shop and Studio, and we're located in Gainesville, Florida. Now that is in the north central part of the state, so if you're ever driving up or down I-75, feel free to stop in. To find out the business hours and more information on the classes that we offer, you can head over to our website at craftygemini.com and you'll see a tab there for Gainesville classes, and you can also look for it in the shop section of our website. All the information for classes and business hours and stuff are listed there for you. Then I also got a haircut. I chopped off all my hair. I visited a girl called Rosie Curls. She's down near the Villages in Florida, and she's Dominican too, and she is like a curly girl hair expert. So my daughter and I both went for some haircuts, and I'm excited for a funky little do. I also like that the hair is up off my neck now with the toasty temperatures that we've been getting here in Florida already in the 90s and 100s. It's definitely the perfect new haircut for summertime. I get up early in the mornings and I milk a cow, and by the time I come in, even before 8 a.m., it's super hot, humid, and it's very, very muggy. So I have definitely been enjoying the short haircut for these hot mornings when I have to go out and milk the cow. Now let's move on to what has been going on. In terms of online classes, you may have seen posts or a previous video where we were talking about my raglan t-shirt online class, and I'm wearing one right here. And the pattern that we use for this is a Jali pattern. We carry everything in our online shop, both the cotton spandex fabric that I recommend you use for making this project at least the first couple of times, and the pattern also. And if you want to get into making more clothes and things like that, use the link I've included for you in the description box. That will send you to my website where you can read up on everything that I do in the online video course that I offer for you to learn how to make this top. Now, the pattern does come with several different views, and I've talked about this before. You can also find it on my Instagram feed and my Facebook pages, so I'm not really going to cover too much about this now. Just know that I do offer paid for video courses online for all different types of projects, and we've been doing more and more of the garment sewing ones. So the raglan t-shirt and a racerback tank top pattern were the last ones to go up. I will tell you, because a lot of people think, well, what, you know, if you get the pattern, why would you pay for an online video course? Well, I'll tell you why, and that is for people that don't have that much experience sewing garments. This pattern is a super quick and easy make if you know what you're doing. But for me, because I like to teach all my video courses and tutorials, as you have probably seen, I like to teach everything super step by step, so nothing is left out. So whenever you want to make the shirt, you'll be able to go in there without any previous knowledge or memory of having made it previously, and follow step by step, and every time you're going to have some good, successful, and consistent results that are only going to get better the more you practice these projects. So for me, offering these step-by-step video courses, I'll give you an idea of how much content is actually in them. I could probably do a quickie, just rough through tutorial in maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 4 videos on how to make this top, but in my paid for video course, this project actually features 32 different video lessons, and they're not like 2 or 3 minutes. These are longer 10 to 20 minute videos, and this one features 32 different ones with bonus videos for how to use a serger to complete it, how to hem with a cover stitch machine, but every other step is completed on a domestic sewing machine. You simply want to have something that can stitch a straight stitch and some type of a zigzag stitch that you can work with. If you have the option to adjust stitch length and stitch width on your machine, then it's going to be even better. So lots of content in those video courses for you. If it's something you're interested in, I've included the link in the description box below. Now, the next project that I'm going to be working on is the next paid for video course. So I thought, if you don't follow me on social media, maybe you haven't seen all the samples that I've been making, but I've made 8 to 10 different samples in different sizes and different views from the new pattern. So after we finish the raglan t-shirt, I have a Facebook group called Sewing Clothes with Crafty Gemini. So if you want to join in on that, it's a free group that you can join on Facebook. But we talk mostly about the paid for classes and some of the free tutorials that I've done on garment sewing. Okay, so that's the place on Facebook for doing that. Now, I ran a poll there. After the raglan t-shirt videos kind of ended, they're still available for anybody to sign up, but as far as me adding new content to it, that's already ended. So we ran a poll asking everybody what was the next type of garment they want to see me teach as an online video course. And the overwhelming #1 response was a summer dress. Now, I'm not big into dresses just because I have large thighs. They tend to rub, and so I always have to be wearing some type of shorts, pants, or something comfortable that kind of separates both of my legs. And so I'm not a big dress wearer, especially because it's just not really my lifestyle to be wearing dresses, right? I was thinking, summer dress. I don't really wear summer dresses, so I haven't made a tried and true pattern that I could say, yes, this is one that I would recommend for everybody. Well then, Jali came out with a new collection of patterns, and the Michelle is one of them. I've made, like I said, about 8 to 10 of these already, and I have to say, this is an amazing pattern, impeccable drafting skills, and so much variety in the one pattern. Now, we carry this pattern in our online shop, and if you typically buy your Jali pattern somewhere else, I would encourage you to check out our online shop so you can see the sale price that we offer there, which is usually cheaper than anywhere else that you can get it. So we carry this pattern. There's 3 different views. Most of the models on here are wearing the dress versions, and I'll include kind of a static image of this on here so you can see it a little bit better. But one of the views is a tank top, perfect for summertime, perfect for layering in the spring and fall also, and it features 2 different finishes. So one of the tank top versions, I'll show you a sample I have here. This is one that I made for myself. Super cute tie-dye, rayon challis. This has a facing. So you see I lifted up the front of the shirt. The inside lining just covers pretty much over your bust and a little bit more beyond that with the facing that it has. So this one, because the second lining piece inside doesn't fall all the way down the full length of the tank top, it's going to require less yardage, which is a plus, especially when you're kind of experimenting and trying it out for the first time. The second tank top view features a full facing lining on the inside, which actually, if you do that option, 2 things. One, you're going to use a little bit more fabric, right? Because you need 2 full lengths 4 times. But the other thing is that you can make the shirt reversible. So you can do the facing pieces, right? The interior lining of the shirt out of one fabric and then the exterior ones out of another. And then really they're interchangeable. You would just turn the top wrong side out or right side out, and you would be wearing it with featuring a different fabric. So that's another option where we're going to learn how to make it reversible. So if you haven't noticed yet, I'm going to be offering this pattern as my next online class, okay? Then the third view is the dress. It's a little dress that features the same top of the tank top, but it doesn't come down as long as the tank top, obviously. It fits more closer to the waistline, to the true waistline, and then you have this kind of gathered skirt with pockets. With pockets is the key right there in that statement, okay? What dress don't we want pockets in? So this is one sample that I made for myself in a rayon challis, this cute floral print. All right, so you can see the bodice. It's lined on the bodice only. The skirt is just one layer of fabric. And this one is actually a little bit less gathered than what the pattern actually calls for, because I'm playing around not only with different lengths, different sizes, different fabrics. Of course, when I teach an online class, I want it to be as in-depth as possible. So if you're someone like me who doesn't want to have so many gathers right around your hip and belly area, then if you want a more slim-fitting look that is not quite as puffy gathered, I'm going to share with you the hacks that you're going to do to the pattern pieces in order to achieve that look. Now, I'll pull out a pocket here so you can see. Yay, pockets. So this is out of a rayon challis, and you can see how drapey that fabric is. So nice and lightweight, perfect for summertime. And here's one of the samples that I made. Same dress. You can see that the fabric is a little bit more structured. It's still kind of a light, I would say it's more to the light range of a medium weight polyester woven fabric. And then I'll show you in the pockets here, I had a little bit left over from the tank top versions of this one that I made out of this cute kind of watercolor, blotchy, bright, funky fabric print. So I'll insert a picture here of me wearing the tank top version of the same pattern that I made with this, and because I had scraps left over, I added them as a little pop of color in the pockets of the dress, okay? So this one I actually finished with some elastic at the waistline. So these are all different options that I will be going over in the video course for some of you that maybe want to cinch everything a little bit further. We have an option here to add some elastic, and I'll show you obviously in the video course lessons how we would do that, okay? But a great little pattern, I think, for the summer dress option and for the tank top versions. Now, the key thing, which I always love to mention, is that the pattern includes sizes from little girls age 2 all the way up. This one goes further than the raglan t-shirt did, goes up to a women's 24. Some of the patterns of the Jali patterns go to size 22. These new collection ones, most of the ones I've seen, I see that they go up to a size 24. So all those sizes are included in the pattern. If you're someone, and I've been getting this a lot online, people were saying, hey, I like the tank, I like the dress, but I want to add sleeves to it because I don't like to wear sleeveless stuff. Well, this is not going to be the pattern for that. We're not going to create a totally different armscye and draft pattern pieces from scratch in this course. My video courses that are based on the Jali patterns are designed to walk you through understanding everything in the pattern, how to achieve each step, and then some additional video courses and additional tips, tricks, and other techniques that you can practice on that are not covered in the pattern. So it's a more kind of intensive, in-depth course, but we're not going to be redrafting the entire pattern, okay? This is designed for a sleeveless tank and a sleeveless tank summer dress with pockets, and those are the looks that we're going to be making, all right? So I have made this also the tank top version so far, a couple of them for my daughter who is 7 years old, and for her I cut out the size L, which in Jali sizes is a girl size 8, and that way you can see here in the picture how it fits her. But this is an amazing pattern. One thing that we will be covering in this, because you probably heard me say woven fabrics, is what this pattern is designed for. I will not be covering how to change the sizing if you want to use a knit fabric. That will not be covered in the course, okay? We're going to be making it the way the pattern was designed with some additional bonus videos for different techniques and tips that I find will help you get a better, more successful results with the way the pattern is, okay? So I just want to clarify some of those things. Now, because the pattern is designed to be used or to be made out of lightweight woven fabrics, you might be wondering, how will I get this to go over my bust if I have a large bust with a fabric that does not stretch? Well, if you've kind of joined some online groups or have done your research on adjusting patterns for larger busts, you may know or may have heard of something called a full bust adjustment. And so I will also be teaching you how to make a full bust adjustment to this specific pattern to make it fit over your bust a little bit better. Now, most commercial patterns and even some independent patterns, I would even say most independent pattern companies, unless they're designed or specifically say that they're for plus size or they include different cup size options for you to choose from in the pattern itself, which even some commercial patterns have started to do that in more recent years, you may not be able to make the pattern just going by your measurements and have it fit over your bust, because these patterns are typically designed to fit over a B and sometimes a C cup. If you're bigger than that, chances are you're probably going to have to be making a full bust adjustment or some other type of adjustments that you may find work for you in order to fit your specific bust size. So I wear kind of a C/D cup, and so I did do a full bust adjustment. I also made one without doing a full bust adjustment, and in the video courses I will share with you examples of me wearing those tops so we can analyze in a little bit of depth how each one fits, and so you can visually see the change of what the full bust adjustment does to the finished garment when I make it after the pattern has been adjusted. So these are all things that are going to be covered in my new video course, so keep that in mind. Now, you may be a little bit intimidated about tackling lightweight woven fabrics, but we are going to discuss in the video course as well some really good options of fabrics to choose that work great for this pattern, some to stay away from, and things like that, so that you kind of will set yourself up for the best results even on your first try. It's not a very difficult pattern to put together. The tank top itself is what we will start off with because it uses less yardage and it's a quicker make. Then from then on, we'll start working the video course on making it reversible, and then we'll move on to making the dress with the pocket. So a lot of video course lessons to be posted on that. and I'm going to estimate there will probably be, again, between 30 and 40 in-depth, high-definition video lessons included in this course. So if you want to sign up for something like this, stay tuned, because in the next video that I post to my channel here, I will be sharing with you the early bird sale price. If you know my clubs or online courses, you know I love to give y'all a sale price for a limited time, typically 4 to 6 or 7 days, something like that, where you can get in at a significant discounted rate. Then the price goes up and it stays up, all right? So if you think that you're gonna wanna join this online class to make the Michelle tank top and tank top dress with us, definitely stay tuned, because in the next video that I post to my YouTube channel, I will share with you the early bird sale price. We'll talk a little bit more about what you can expect to get in the online video course, which the content never expires when you sign up for any of my paid courses or online clubs. And that is what is coming up next. All right, so that is it for that. You can also add yourself to my email newsletter list, and you can find the link for that at my website, craftygemini.com, and click where it says email sign up. You can enter your email address there, and that way you'll be the first to find out about when this class opens up and when you can get in at that early bird sale price. All right, so now let's move on to some other things that I have recently acquired, and then I'll jump into some of my new knitting projects that I've, not new, but knitting projects that I've been working on. All right, so if you know me, you may already know that I don't like reading. I know, some of you out there are just in shock, but I don't like to read. I'm very hands-on and practical and functional more than anything. So really the only things that I like to read are instruction manuals, resource books, things that are teaching me something right there that I can put into practice as I'm reading it. That's just how I am. I know. I have a law degree and I hate reading. How did I survive? You know, sometimes there's things that you got to do in life even though you don't want to, right? But I did acquire some recent books into my resource library for all my crafts, and I will share them with you here. They had some really good reviews. I've kind of looked through some of them so far, and it looks like I'll at least be able to get my money's worth from the content that I've seen. So I'm excited to add these to my library of crafty books. The first one is called Design Your Own Crochet Projects, and it basically includes formulas, they call them magic formulas here, to create different things like scarves, cowls, hats, socks, mittens, and gloves. And so I kind of just want to look through here and see what's going on. You know, they have cute patterns, cute projects, and I like these types of books, even though when they're project-based, I like them because that way reading the instructions or the design elements that go into it, I can see the why you do certain things to get a certain look. And that's really what I like to get out when I read, okay? I want to know the why, the how, the everything behind it, not just like do this. I want to know, why are we doing this? Why is it the best way, the most efficient way? And that's just kind of how my brain works. So the next book is 400 Knitting Stitches. So this is like a stitch dictionary or a stitch Bible, sometimes people say. Down here it says a complete dictionary of essential stitch patterns. There are a ton of patterns here. Now, a couple things I like so far about this book is that it not only features the pattern, it has an image of it in a light colored yarn so you can see like the swatch of it, how it works up. It also has a chart that you can read and the written directions. But in the written directions, instead of them telling you these different stitch patterns in the sense of a pattern that you're making an actual something of it, it's given to you with the stitch pattern repeat. So you know to keep everything symmetrical, it'll say work on a multiple of 6 plus 3. So if you're making something really big, but it's gonna cover, you know, the whole fabric is gonna be made up of this specific stitch, you know that you wanna be working on some type of a multiple of 6 plus 3. It gives you the formula basis for you to create things from these stitch patterns. And I think that that's awesome. Very, very handy resource guide here. And the book itself is split up into like 7 or 8 categories with different cabled stitches, basic knit and purl stitches, cross stitches with cables, lacy stitches, slip stitches. There's all these different categories. And so you can see that there's 400 knit stitches, so it's quite a chunky book. It's by Pottercraft. And if you're interested in these books, I've included links in the description box below for you to check them out using my Amazon affiliate link there for you. Now the next book is another knitting book, and it's called The Beginner's Guide to Writing Knitting Patterns. This book is written by Kate Atherley, and I found her because I was watching one of her classes on myblueprint.com on knitting, and I really like her teaching style and how mathematical she is. I really could relate to her teaching style, and so I started doing some research, and she talks about it in her class too, that she's written several books. So I picked up this one on A Beginner's Guide to learning how to write knit patterns, again, so that I can wrap my head around the why and the how of these things. Again, a super handy resource guide. She has tons of little kind of like pop-out bubbles in this book with extra information, tips, and things that like, kind of like she did a study or gathered information from previous students. And so things that a lot of knitters say, she'll include it in there to help you as a pattern designer not create the same mistakes. So people will say things like, I don't like it when the designs, you know, the pattern don't include this information or that information. And so I think that's really helpful in this book to give you some extra information for those of you that might want to start writing and designing your own knitting pattern. So a really good resource book. I've only worked my way through a little bit of it, but I've already been learning a ton. She has stuff here on doing things in metric, what type of schematic, whether or not you should include it in your patterns when you're drafting and creating your own knitting patterns, different diagrams and illustrations of how you may want to include for multi-size patterns. A lot of really good but kind of in-depth information here for writing knitting patterns. And then the next one is kind of another dictionary type of book of stitches, but for crochet, the Big Book of Crochet Stitches. And this one has a lot of really interesting ones. The swatches in this book are all done up in kind of a worsted weight yarn in different colors. Some are a little bit easier to see than others, but lots of options here. And again, they give you the chain multiple. So chain multiple of 7 plus 4, a chain multiple 4 plus 2. So again, they're giving you the basic formula so that you can then use that formula by however big you need to make it for the pattern that you're designing, and then the instructions for the actual stitch, okay? So a great little resource guide, I thought. So those are the books that I recently acquired. And since we're already talking about knitting and crochet stuff, let's move on to the next things. Before we talk projects, I wanted to let y'all know that we recently launched this premium crochet hook set, and we carry it in our online shop. It features 11 sizes. You get from 2 millimeters all the way up to 8 millimeters. So some nice rainbow colored hooks. These are the ones that I use for all my crochet projects. And if you want to check it out, I've included a link for you below. This would make a great starter set for a child or a beginner, or if you're looking for some fun, soft, and easy to use crochet hooks, definitely check them out. So now let's talk about my current knitting projects. And I don't have them all here, but I will share with you some of them. You may recall from a previous vlog video where I mentioned that I had 2 knitting goals, and those were to knit a pair of socks and to knit myself a sweater. So I was saying I was gonna tackle the easy bulky one, it's called, this by Joji Locatelli. She has one that's called the easy one, but that I think is done in like fingering weight yarn, and that was not gonna happen. So we went with the bulky one that called for bulky yarn. I used Lamb's Pride, it's by Brown Sheep Co. Lamb's Pride Superwash Bulky. The color is Riff Blue, and this is really bulky yarn. So that's what I ended up using for mine, and I'll show you the progress on it. The whole bodice is done. I've actually also finished off the ribbing at the bottom here, and I just need to bind off. So I'm gonna bind off there. I'm gonna pick up on the sides for the sleeves. I just need to do my 2 sleeves, and then there's some type of finishing here on the neckline, all right? So that is where I am at with the Easy Bulky one by Joji Locatelli. I bought her pattern off of Ravelry.com, so you can find it there. And I also have a project page for this on Ravelry. So if you wanna see the modifications and things that I went adjusting, check it out there. I will give you a heads up, the pattern does have a ton of ease, positive ease that is, which means that if you go by your bust measurement and choose your regular size, you're gonna end up with a massive sweater. So if you want something a little bit close fitting, I would recommend, just like we do with sewing garments, and going by the finished garment measurements. And that's how I chose mine. I had to change the needle size that I used significantly because I needed it to get gauge. I think I went all the way up to like, what is this? A 10.75, which is a 7 millimeter needle. And I think the pattern called for something totally different. So I did a couple gauge swatches, and this is what I needed to use, but it's on my project page there on Ravelry if you want to see all my notes on that project. The next thing is I got a project bag from a friend that was selling it on Instagram. She was kind of clearing out some stuff, so I got this. I got this super cute little pin on here by Gigi Made It. And then in here, I'm keeping my Chagu needles, size 7, and then a ball of the yarn that one of my kids dyed. I am actually, in this bag, making and keeping swatches for some upcoming knitting classes that I'm taking at Houston Fiber Fest. So that is on June 21st to 23rd, I believe, and I am headed to stay with a friend in Houston, and we're both gonna go to Houston Fiber Fest. So if you're into yarn stuff, knitting, crochet, whatever it is, and you live near the Houston area, check it out. I'll leave a link for you in the description so you can find out more information on the event. This will definitely be my first time going, and I'm excited because my friend and I both have signed up for 3 classes. So I'm taking a class Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on different things like different finishings for your knitting. I don't know if all the classes are sold out or not, but check that out if you're looking to go. Things on, what else did I sign up for? Binding. There's a couple different classes there. I can't remember them all, but we have to make a bunch of swatches. We have homework, so they're like little bitty things, you know, cast on 10, knit in stockinette stitch for whatever many rows. So I have like a dozen swatches I need to make for each one of my 3 classes. So in this bag, that's what I'm keeping here, and they're all with kind of a worsted weight. I needed a light, smooth yarn, and this that we dyed was Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Superwash. That's what it was. So it's light color, it's kind of yellow and some white spots in it. So that's what's working out for my swatches. Don't tell my son I'm using his yarn. All right, next ones. We dyed more yarn this week. The kids and I did. And here we have 3 skeins that we each dyed. My son, Jonathan, or we call him Juice, dyed this one, black, white, and yellow. Look how fun and funky it looks. And it is Pikachu inspired, or an Eevee Evolution Pokemon that has a different name that also has the same kind of Pokemon. I don't know anything about Pokemon, but I know Pikachu is white, black, and yellow because my daughter has, I've made her a tank top featuring the colors because she wanted it. But look how cool that skein looks. I think he said he wants to make a hat with this one, and it's worsted weight, so I told him you can start now. You'll have plenty of time to finish it in time for the cooler weather here. So that was the one my son did. My daughter made this beautiful, look at this gorgeous skein. The colors on this thing are just amazing. Blues, purples, there's little spots of like greens, a little bit of yellow, all different shades of blues and aquas in here. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful skein of yarn, y'all. And I think she says she wants to make a hat too. We shall see. She's 7. Both of my kids knit, for those that may be wondering what exactly they're gonna make with this. They can knit, my son can knit and purl, he's made hats already. But this is the one that I use. So for my daughters, it was really, really a lot of blue saturated there. So she still had some water with a lot of dye in it before we started to rinse off that skein. And so I decided to just dump mine in what was left over of her blue. So it picked up some really, really pale blue there. And then I took a really, I don't know, some kind of berry colored dye. The name was like I don't know, something berry. But it was like a bright, hot fuchsia pink. And look how cute that looks. So this is the one that I ended up making. It's kind of, it has some speckles, but then like some mottled chunks. I'd be curious to see what the swatch is gonna look like on this and how the colors end up pooling. But again, lots of fun, funky colors, and I even have some light spots there that I think will add another layer of dimension to whatever I end up making with this. So I'm excited to use this one too. So we have 3 new hand-dyed skeins of yarn in that department. In other news, I have more swatches for my Houston Fiber Fest classes. I have invested in a Chiagu set of needles, and this one was the size of, there's different ranges that you can get the little teensy ones for sock making, but I got the mid-range one where it goes from a US size 2 to a US size 8, so between a 2.75 millimeter and 5 millimeter needles in here, and these are absolutely my favorite needles. I decided to invest in the set because I had purchased some standalone circulars that were Chiagus, like not interchangeables, and I love them. I love them, love them. I have some Knit Picks needles that I use, and they work fine, but now that I'm getting faster and I want to whip through things a little bit quicker, I definitely enjoy the metal so that there's a little bit more slickness to it. And I find that the tips on the Chiagu needles are not as sharp and pointy as the Haya Sharps, which literally make me a hole in my finger, and it hurts a lot. But they're not as blunt as some of the Knit Picks needles that I've used also. So it's like right in between, perfect even for like tight knitters like me. And I really, really love those Chiagu needles. So anyways, that's the newest addition to my knitting stash that I'm looking forward to making more stuff with, and my hand-dyed yarn.